just record it now and then we can edit it if we want later. But we've got Rachel on so far. We had a handful of people register, and so we'll just see who shows up. But let me just see. I'm gonna look at how this is recording. I don't know what it's gonna do, to be honest. Okay. So you just got home from Mexico or New Mexico? Is that what you were doing?
Yes, it was a William's my 8-year-old, and he wanted to go on a little road trip. He actually wanted to go to the Bahamas, but I couldn't afford that yet.
Uh huh.
So we were gonna just do the recreate our Sedona trip from 2020 where we like healed together. And we decided just one morning just to take a different road and go to Taos. Have you been there?
Uh-uh. Tell me about it. What's it like?
Oh, it was very snowy. I didn't see much, but I stumbled upon an Earthship community, and I guess it's a greater Earthship community of the world, and it's right there. And I was like, I am in heaven. Do you like Earthship?
I don't know what it is. What's
Oh,
Earthship?
they're built out of all recycled materials, and inside they have a whole sustainable ecosystem where your gray water waters the plants in the indoor atrium, and it's all like thermo. I don't even know the words, but it's all sustainable. It's
Wow.
really cool. The
Wow.
walls are made from like straw bales and like clay and glass bottles for the windows. Really cool.
Cool. So did you guys stay there or what?
No.
Oh.
No, we stay at cheap hotels. Very cheap hotels. In one town on the way back, William was so sick of driving because one of the highways was closed. He's like, Mom, we should get a really nice hotel tonight. And I'm like, oh, what hotel are you thinking? He's like, a Best Western. I'm like, oh, not the Super 8, huh?
Hold on, I just got a chat. She says that she can't hear us very well. Hmm. That's weird. I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you well.
Huh. Well, let's go ahead. I'm just going to take some time and let some people into the room.
Yeah, take your time. Just let me know when we officially begin. Also, I wonder if headphones might help you, Rachel, or if
Yeah,
those are the problem.
good point. I'll just message her about that. We have about 4 minutes before we start. We'll just start right on time and I'll let people in as we go. Um, this is the very first one, so we're trial and error. And thank you for just being like, yeah, I'll do it.
Hell yeah. Whenever you're involved, I know it's something cool.
Oh, yeah, right.
Hmm. I just don't leave the house unless I'm like going. Are you that way at all? Are you like out and about?
Not during the winter. I hibernate and I hermit real good when it's cold. I don't like to go outside. um,
And it's been
no,
so snowy.
I'm introverted really bad. So I like friends, but at the same time, I really in a physical space, it's just not working. So who knows? I'm not doing it. Sorry, I'm reading her message. She says she can hear you, but she can't hear me. Let me turn up my volume.
We're getting there.
There we go. Technology is great, but at the same time, it's like, huh. Let
Oh,
me.
and Mercury retrograde.
Very true. I'm going to just double check and make sure that check my Zoom real quick. I
Don't
have
worry, I'm
it.
very good at just sitting and breathing.
I know you are. You really are. That's what I'm like.
I guess that's it.
She'll ground me on this first one.
You're so calming. What are you talking about?
I'm going to really quick just upgrade my Zoom because I forgot that I haven't used it for so long. So I need to
Do
make
you
sure
need
I
the
get it.
upgrade? Because I've been doing my podcasts and keeping them under 40.
You have?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just thought just in case we
Just in case. If
have
you got the money, go for it.
I know it's 15. I'm going to be doing these every other week, and so I want to make sure that if they go over and people have Q&As, sweet, we're solid. Um, we have time. So
It's very smart.
we got another one entering. This is exciting. You never know.
Woo-hoo. Oh, Bo did show up. Hey, Bo. Yay.
Bo, can you hear me? Bo, can you hear me?
Oh, am I being addressed?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't I was worried I was going to get called out. Yes, I have audio. Thank you.
Okay, cool. One of the girls couldn't hear me. We'll mute
Okay.
you now.
Okay, yeah, please do. Yeah. I'm just going to be like eating up some leftovers. Okay.
Cool.
That's
Oh, I
awesome.
love it.
It's
Who's
a good idea. I'll be right back. I'm just kidding.
oh, you're here now. All right, cool. So it's right at 7 o'clock. I'm gonna go ahead and just get started, and we'll just, you know, I had this inspiration to interview people when it comes to mental health after the whole Twitch, thing happened, and I feel like it hit a lot of us and just like all these questions and there's a lot of deaths in general, but the suicide epidemic or whatever we want to call it is big and a lot of us want to check out. And I think being human and being here is actually the life hack, and I've been watching Amanda. Amanda is a friend of mine. Not, I feel like you're a good friend, but
Oh, hell yeah, we are.
we don't hang out very often.
We're soul besties.
We really are. But I wanted to bring you on and just talk to you about your journey, and we can just let that evolve as we go. But tell me a little bit about you. Like, what do you want the world to know about who you are? And
Well, I want them to know what's been going on with me for the past 2 years, but I don't feel like they'll understand that I have one foot in sanity, I guess, unless they understand my background. So before I lost everything in 2020, I had everything. I thought I did at least. I was a meditation teacher certified by my favorite guru, Dr. Deepak Chopra. Like, that was amazing going to his training. I was a certified yoga teacher, teaching and doing this fun yoga parties business, teaching at the aquarium. And I was a journalist on Fox 13. I had my own show. It was like everything was great. I had my horse right across the street and my family. I had my son, but it just was built on a shoddy foundation. So in 2020, when everything blew up, everything in my life blew up at the same time. It was so crazy. First it was the pandemic, and then we were all stuck at home, and then my marriage ended in a crazy way, and then I lost my job in a crazy way and had to move out of my dream house, and then like losing my job, that just made everything worse. And I meditated, I did yoga, I ate well, like I had all the tools and I knew how to get out of, deep dark trauma, but I haven't had that many traumas in a row before, and that shook me. And so losing my job, that took away my like daily sense of I'm participating in the world and just getting through this shitty divorce and pandemic. And so like that kind of like low level agitation, anxiety, and depression turned into like I don't know where I am in the world or which dimension. My feet aren't on the ground. My head's gone somewhere. I'm staring at walls instead of like listening to my son talk. Like it got to a place where I was just all out of sorts. And I was eating food bank food. I got like let go 2 weeks before Christmas. So my friend bought all my kids Christmas presents, and I got this job at standing in line to get food bank food at my son's school. One of the teachers, his teacher, comes out and was like, do you need a job? And I'm like, I guess, what do you got? And she's like, you teach yoga, right? I'm like, I'll be your yoga teacher. And she's like, no, kids PE teacher. So I did that for 4 months, and that job killed me. I was like too far into brain fog and trauma, and like my body barely worked and got me out the door. That chasing around elementary school kids all day, I had to quit. So I'm like, how can I do this? And I was making $12 an hour anyway. I couldn't even afford my basement apartment, let alone the grocery store. But I just decided to move into a trailer, get a truck and a piece of land. My house just sold. It took forever to sell back then. And when it sold, I put some money down on a piece of land. This was always my dream, to go live off grid with my horse and of course my family, but mainly my horse. But so I took the opportunity. I'm like, sweet, the house sold. I can go to Harmon's and get whatever I want at the grocery store and buy all my supplements again, buy some land. And then I put money down on this school bus. That was going to be my house. And I had him start to make it. Well, 6 months later, I'm like, where's my school bus? He was a drug addict. Like, he was using that money and sending me fake pictures. So I lost my house money and I didn't press charges. And so this is all like, one thing after the other while you're finalizing a divorce, dealing with custody and whatnot. So I didn't really have time to think about like, how am I doing mentally? Like, I just kept trying to survive. And so I didn't have time to meditate anymore. I didn't have time to go to yoga. And like, I just knew I had to do something different. So my friend invited me on this little lava crystal hot springs, whatever that place is. And I had gotten a pretty powerful meditation. Like I just went out under the full moon and just, connected back into my inner world. It was a scary place, darkness, but then I was like, I just need to sit here for a minute and feel it. And I got this channel. I've never been channeled by any energies before, and I just start writing because I'm getting chills talking about it, because it was not my voice, and it was like the craziest shit I'd ever heard about this layer of dimension over the one that we're seeing, where spiders aren't afraid to say hello, and the standing people are here, and the tree people, and like just all this. It was just like, and then my friend asked me to go to, I'm looking at the same, like, I even drew the pictures of who I thought it was, and it was an Anubis and Bastet, and they have stuck with me all the time. But I didn't know I had that ability to um, hear things and learn things from entities and other dimensions. Like, I have this Egyptian, oh gosh, you can't really see that, but that's a heart scarab. And I'll get back to the story in a second, but this is important because I got this as a gift from, I didn't even know who this was at the time, from Isis through Hathor. These are Egyptian gods and goddesses. And they told me it was a heart scarab and to put it in my mouth, and it settled on my heart. And I like woke up, whatever. It was just a meditation, totally sober. I looked up heart scarab, and there was this whole backstory. There was one in the Smithsonian, like it was a big thing, and I had no idea that that existed. And that is for it was a gift that they put in with the mummy or the dead, so that their soul, when they got to Ma'at, where she was weighing the feather against the heart for judgment, that they would have that heart scarab on their heart so that they wouldn't tell a lie to incriminate them, like that they remembered who they were. So I was just blown away that I'm getting gifts like to help me on this journey. So I kind of put aside meditation, even though that was like, it was different than the meditation I've been doing. It turned into like sitting and listening and journaling and tarot cards and all this shit, crystals, rose water. I started making rose water and putting crystals in it, putting it under the moon, and started doing ceremonies and rituals and like all stuff that's like light of the light, but it was just so much different than, I'm going to sit here and repeat my meditation mantra because this is what science says it does to grow your brain matter and it reduces depression. It went from like, I'm doing this for those benefits to like, wow, I'm enjoying a whole other dimension and learning these legit things and meeting these legit gods and goddesses and star nations. And it like, my earth life was me trying to keep my physical life together because I didn't have the house money anymore, so I bought this shitty trailer and a really old truck, and I live in that now. It's still 2 years later, and the truck is always freaking breaking down. But I was just like cobbling this life together in the physical reality. Meanwhile, like channeling like crazy. Like you should see all the journals. It's like I'm a psychopath in here, just like journaling and journaling. But I really like got a lot out of the mixing of the worlds. Like it was an art form. Like nobody knew that I was doing this really. I couldn't tell someone that I just like I'm just talking to the Egyptians and I did a perfect mummification of this roadkill and I couldn't brag about it to anyone. I just got to show the gods that I passed the test. And like all these other things that I was doing, like my family, all they saw was she doesn't have a job and she's still in the trailer 2 years later. And, get a job, get a job, get a job. My mom's cool, but, my dad's a dad. And then the public sees like this person that fallen from grace from the news, like off in a trailer. She can't get her shit together. She's really sad. Like I had some people message me that said like, it's really hard to watch your journey. And I was like, oh, is it hard for you? I'm so sorry. It's hard for you. And I'm trying to make this fun.
It's hard for you. Yeah.
But of course, since one of my biggest values is love, I'm like, I'm really sorry. That must have been triggering. Because I still care on some level. But there's like this new perspective, and this is why I think I went through it the way I did, is because I'm supposed to share these messages. And the messages are of ancient wisdom that is totally applicable now, sustainable living. Our planet wants that for us. And then from the star nations, trying to get us as humans, as a Earth nation, to join the galactic community. And that's like a thing. Like, I don't know if you watched Dr. Stephen Greer at all. He did the documentary
I
on
know who he is,
Advantage.
but I don't watch him like regularly.
If you watch him regularly, he's keeping everybody up to date on what the government is not disclosing. And I won't get into all this, but um, there are people every day making contact with ETs who are now too afraid to come into our 3D atmosphere because they get shot down by the government, according to high-ranking CIA officials like Dr. Stephen Greer. um, that now they're communicating through the channelers because it's safer for them. And so it's very important. I was like, oh, this is a nice little fantasy I'll release someday as a kid's book or something. But it's like, no, this is important information. And the reason why we're teaching you all these lessons is because they all come together for Earth to really be able to join the galactic community. And part of that is being able to communicate with these other beings, and everyone can do it. I just interviewed this MIT trained scientist, Pete Sanders Jr., and he wrote a book called You Are Psychic. So you have these hard logic guys admitting that we exist in more than 10 dimensions, and then people like Stephen Greer having contact with aliens. So it's all coming together like, holy shit, I'm not crazy. Or maybe I am, but a lot of other people are too.
But it's also, I think, a big part of this mental health piece of, you know what, I'm getting these hits, I'm getting these downloads, I feel crazy. And I
Yeah.
have nobody to talk to about it
Oh my gosh,
until I
that's so
find
true.
somebody like you, because it's like I'm going through this 3D dimension of my world and it just is it's a part of it. But there's also these other dimensions that are very real, and
Yeah.
to accept it and to embody it and to actually share it is
Mm.
really inspiring. And
Oh man, I feel like I haven't done that enough.
you have. Well, I mean, I don't know how much more you could. I mean, I believe that we're like this small percentage away from consciousness just flooding our planet, where everybody can tap in. And we're so,
Yeah, like the hundredth monkey effect.
yes,
Once the hundredth monkey uses the tool, every monkey is born using the tool, and that's what Deepak Chopra was trying to do to get us to a billion meditators. And He said, once we do that, it's all going to shift to the collective. So that's so great. And mental health and this stuff, I'm so glad you tied it back in, because this stuff saved my life. Like, if I wasn't,
Me too.
like, you too.
Yeah.
Okay, it gives so much meaning, right?
Yeah.
They say that it takes a really deep, dark time or a really big trauma to bring you to the door of depression, which is on the other side. There's complete expansion, but that door is spirituality. Because if you don't open that door and ask for your helpers and healers, you might not make it out alive. And I don't say that lightly, because I work with a lot of people who are not wanting to you know, be here. And I've been there, and it's even if you get too spiritual, sometimes you don't want to be here. I've been at that point too, where I'm like, why the F do I have a human body? This is pointless, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, it's not pointless, because there's a mission at hand where that raising of the consciousness, if you're gone, yes, you're in the consciousness, but you're not in Earth's consciousness. And if we check out, we're not, and we like have this knowledge, we're really doing our fellow humans a disservice, because we can elevate us all to the place where we aren't working 9 to 5 jobs. And it's not our whole, ethos to like work all day and to produce and achieve. It's more of a, let's commune and let's collaborate. Let's nurture what we have. Let's nurture each other and have fun. Where the freaking fun go?
Seriously.
Like, the first question I ask men I date is, do you go to music festivals? If they say no, I'm like, oh,
This
you're no
isn't gonna
fun.
work. This is not gonna work.
But I'm
Well,
really glad that I had that during the journey, was to be able to sit and learn and have meaning. They're like, go pick up that roadkill. Like, when I'm driving, down the road, I'm like, what? Like, I'll be in the middle of some like, stress ball moment. And I'll be like, okay, here we go. And so that begins this like, it's like you're being smoothed down, through these rituals. And they chose really hard shit for me, because I'm a Virgo. I don't like germs or anything, or like smells, like. And they had me working with roadkill to learn animal medicine and mummification and learn how to make shaman tools. And I'm so grateful, because it kept my physical body like working, like one thing after another. If I was working this, and it was creative, and it was amazing. And then you get these big aha moments from all the animals in a row you worked on, tell a story that absolutely like applies to what you were supposed to be learning in that time, and the trauma you were addressing, and the generational shit that was attached to that. And it was like, oh, and then the goddess who are like related. You know how it goes. You've been in this, it all makes sense. No.
Well, I met you like 5 years ago. I think it was a while ago at Chick-fil-A, and
It was a while ago.
it was a while ago.
Chick-fil-A.
It was, and your little boy, like the first thing he did was like come up and give me a hug, and I'd never met you before, and
And I was like, he
you,
never does that.
uh-uh, and I put it on the back burner a little bit, but the Intuition Academy is a I mean, I see it as almost like a mystic school for our children, and maybe, but it to tap into our higher selves and the creativity. And I hate that there's an age limit on our learning capacity. At 18 you should have this figured out. And um so anyways, I just loved watching you. I want to ask you, I feel like what you've done is before you were more in a more masculine energy, and now you've brought in more of that feminine energy and have balanced those two out. Or maybe not balanced, but like you play between the two. Can you talk about what that means to you, and what what has that been like?
I cannot believe you're asking me about this, because that is the whole foundational lesson I was to learn, besides from freedom from fear. So, like, and balance masculine femininity. What more is there? Like the those two beget other gifts, such as patience, such as not needing love from anyone else but yourself, not needing a reputation, all these things. But yeah, I'm really glad you tapped into that because I think most of us Americans are hyper imbalanced towards the masculine because we've been living in a patriarchy, and to survive, a lot of women adopted the traits of the masculine to be more accepted in the patriarchy. Masculine not get any favors in this, or are not getting any favors really in this patriarch, because they're not allowed to express emotions other than anger, and that gets them arrested, and that gets them shooting up their families. Like that, there was a recent news story about a guy who went berserk and shot his whole family. It's like that's not uncommon. So men are suffering deeply, and the man in us is tired and unappreciated and angry and pent up and disempowered. And so moving into like the awareness of what energy I was holding, because I wasn't aware until Anubis and Bastet, like this beautiful masculine god and this sweet kitty goddess, like they really taught me that lesson of, if you're going to be presenting as masculine and you don't even know what that looks like, I'm going to show you what masculine really is. And that's why I did the gun trainings. That's why I did the survival courses. That's why I did the mule packer school, which was grueling effort every day and scary. And like, for all these things, I would buy like the emergency medical insurance just in case, like I got shot or kicked, or I did get bucked off. But anyway, so I had to get into that whole masculine of being an empowered masculine who knows how to provide, who knows how to live off the land, who knows how to communicate in dangerous situations, be stuck in the freaking desert, stuck in 3 feet of mud with no cell service, and just accepting that you're going to be okay. You can go eat coyotes if they'll let you catch them. But yeah, it was crazy. And then moving into the feminine meant I'm really tired. I wish I could just be allowed to rest. Like I want to now look at these feelings and like cry and feel. And because when I was in the masculine phase, like I went on medicine journeys and I really like took everything like, I'm going to heal this. I'm going to get through this. And the feminine was like, I was crying a lot. I was sleeping a lot. And I was hating myself for that, because the imbalanced masculine in us is like, if you're not productive, you're worthless. Like you're not loved just for being who you are. You're not loved when you're laying around. You're not adding anything. So that was really hard. Actually, the feminine was way harder to balance than the masculine. And now that I'm like thinking rest is okay and play is okay and creativity is okay. Like I paint now. I used to think like I don't have time for that. That's worthless. That doesn't, it's not productive. But
Yeah.
now it's like, oh, let me put this little thing together, beautify a little bit. And I feel like it's so important we do that because we're showing our kids by example. Like, yes, they're hearing our words, but they're more watching us. Like, if we're not resting, they're going to grow up with, hopefully not, but anxiety because
Yeah.
they're tired and they want to lay down, but they feel like they've got a million things to do. I
Yeah.
think we can really, and if like they're too in their imbalanced feminine, they're going to be really in a depressive state because they're just not motivated and not spoken to in the way that's like, you are an empowered being. You can do this. Let's go try it. So I really feel like balancing masculine and feminine for me is grounding my whole physical reality. And it's just slowly, coming back to where the physical is not a day-to-day struggle. I mean, I'm not there yet. There is like a foot of snow on this RV and I have a space heater like this big. So it's a little chilly, but everything is coming together quickly.
Huh. That's really cool. You feel very free. Like your energy feels to me free. And I think that's why I wanted you to come on because it feels like something I want to embody more. And I just feel like you trust your intuition every day. Do you have a process every day? Or, when you wake up, is it pretty fluid? Or what do you experience on a day to day? It seems like you're all like you're doing different things every day, but what does that look like?
Yeah, I really appreciate your questions because they really see into what how we are as humans, and it's not like freedom is something that's continuous, you know, kind of like happiness, but it is a value that I will never ever give up because when I made those choices to buy the land and put the money towards the bus that never happened, like that was me being in my little karmic cycle and being like, I am going to transcend this karmic cycle. I'm going to do something. They say, you do what you always do, then you'll get what you've always got. So, like, when we take the new path or take the new road, make the bold choices, it expands and you know this, Rochelle, like we're expanding beings. We don't like to be restricted. And so it feels quite natural. And now it's like a muscle memory to take bold leaps because I know that the universe rewards bravery and it rewards transcending those karmic cycles. The ultimate, if you think about all the ancient wisdom traditions that says we have a creator and the creator is thinking us into existence and it really loves our experience and like it wants that feeling of experiencing, then us just sitting and doing the same cycle 9 to 5 blah blah blah, like that's not going to please our souls on the very deep level. And then there's another side to that. It's like the pendulum. I learned what freedom felt like, and I needed to feel that. I don't think that we can truly be free doing the same thing that we do in our routine every day unless you have felt that freedom before because it's an experience and it's an experience that we want to keep having. So variety, they say, is the spice of life. It's the source of happiness. When we take a different road, it's been proven to make a new neural pathway, and so we start thinking differently and it becomes a life more of an adventure and possibility than restriction and excuses. So yeah, I would highly recommend hold on before I say that. My book is gonna be something called like this is what happens when everything falls apart. You move into a trailer, $30,000 gets stolen from you, and you get in about $40,000 of debt. It's like all of that sounds so bad, but look at me. Like I am aligned. I have the taste of freedom and I'll never ever know the taste of imprisonment or dissatisfaction because I know I'm the creator of reality and that whatever pickle I'm in, trust the universe and take the inspired actions, do what feels good, and that's all there is to it really. And so when I boil down this whole journey of what was that all for, it's like the thing I want to pass to people and say this guiding ketamine sessions to the in the most darkest of moments. It's like, what makes you good? You forgot. You forgot, or you've never experienced it. You need to explore and go find it. Because why would we want to live a life where we don't feel good?
Right.
Like some people go feel good by having a little adventure or talking to this person or making this sip of tea. Like there's a million ways we can feel good. And I love one of my meditation teachers, he said, just lightening up. So
What?
go to the damn music festival.
Right. It's interesting.
He said enlightenment is just lightening up.
It is. It's funny when you talk about that because the theme in my world has been, especially since I did a ketamine treatment, my angels and my guides were like, stop taking this so seriously. Like, what is, and what is it that brings joy? And it's like, it's dance, it's music, it's my girlfriend, and I've realized that that is a big thing that's showing up in our world is that I bring it up again, that feminine quality that has been lacking for so long. Um, how has like your friendships with women been a part of your evolution? Has that been what has that been like
Gosh.
navigating?
You You are so good at these questions. It's like
Well, I want
we
to
have got to
know.
be connected. We're so connected on this. Okay. Wait, what was the question?
I want to know, like, what has it been like for you? Because I feel like
With the sisterhood.
the sisterhood, yeah. How important has that been
Yeah.
for you?
Yeah. I did not realize that was a thing and how amazing. I mean, you've been doing those circles and things for a while. I feel like you have cultivated a good community of sisters, right?
I thought I did but it was before the pandemic. I could see it coming, and but it wasn't until like I got a roommate, a really sweet roommate that I was forced to live with and to really learn how to trust. So even though I'd been doing these circles, it didn't really hit home until I actually lived with another woman and had to navigate.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it was great. It was for the first time in my 40 years, I really trusted a woman, and it kind of broke my heart. Now I understand the importance of it, but yeah,
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying because it's a it's odd that we would be women and not just totally love other women and trust other women, but then we go back to the patriarchy thing and it's like we had to survive. And in the witch trials, like we literally survived by calling out other women, like she's a witch, not me. Like it
right.
just we've been divided and that's been on purpose, you know. So yeah, it's really cool to be around other women who have done the work of self-love in themselves so that they don't present with any sort of judgment or competition when they meet and instead present with, I am excited to get to know you, tell me your successes, I want to share them, like that makes me want to cry. Like
Yeah,
I've been awoken to this by needing to ask for help. Like that masculine in me did not ever want to ask for help, and I feel like I'm still in the position I am in because I'm supposed to learn how to work with other people in a communal living setting because I have not had my own place for a long time. Like it's not cheap to just go park your trailer somewhere, so I'm having to commune like with my dad and his new wife and like tiptoe around like when's my laundry day? Can I flush the toilet, in your house? Like I don't have running water, so like when can I use this part of your house? And it's like wish I had my own place, but it's also like I'm learning to how to set boundaries, to ask for things, to be specific on what their boundaries are and be respectful. And I think I didn't have that respect built in me. I was a freaking rebel and hated authority and, screw you parents, but this like honoring myself is helping me to honor others and to show up with more integrity. And with that, I believe a lot of other women are experiencing similar things where they're being asked to work more in groups to gather with others, and we're just kind of following. Oh, I have chills. We're just kind of
I know
following
you're
these
making me
prompts,
cry.
like you're doing this and all your circles, and like I've been like really reaching out to these particular women that are supposed to learn these same lessons with me, and we're like that. And like you said, it is so good feeling to trust a woman and to know she has your back and that like she loves you. Like I feel like it's a hack, like a shortcut if you're dealing with codependency or um even just depression or feelings of unworthiness, like feelings we all have, to have the love of a woman and to be able to openly express the things you admire about each other. Like reading these heartfelt texts, like women are so sincere and like can really see the people, not saying men can't, but I guess the feminine really notices and nurtures those qualities in those relationships. So I'm like, oh, if all women had their like real best friend, one that they could really, really trust and open up to, like you were saying, Rochelle, about your roommate,
Yeah.
then we wouldn't need the men. And you guys would start listening to us again because you're like, wait, where'd all the women go? They're like, when you acknowledge that we're wise and that we have some answers for you, then you can come back.
Then you can come back. blog post about that a couple years ago. I was like,
Both
you
making
guys
sense.
need to be careful. Bo raised
We're
his
all talking now.
hand. Bo wants to ask a question. Bo, I'm gonna unmute you. Go ahead and answer when you're ready.
I just thought it'd be funny if I chimed in. I think I'm the only guy that's
You
left in
are.
there.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say no comment. It's fine. No
You
comment.
chime in to say no comment. You're hilarious. You're cool
Thank you.
enough. You can hang out with the sisters.
Thank you.
You are hanging out with the sisters.
Yeah, and I love it. I'm hanging on every word, really. It's total.
Oh, thanks, Bo. I'm
Yeah,
really happy you're here.
I am too. It's
Representing.
yeah. I'm really grateful to be here. Thank you.
Aw, thanks for
Thanks.
chiming
Yeah.
in.
Yep.
um, Gosh, I had a question just now for you. What are
Yay,
some of the
too
ways
bad.
that you are oh, there's another man in here too. It's under iPhone. What's your name, iPhone? um, so what are some of the ways that people can, I know you hold space for people and you do retreats. What do you got going on that people can interact with you?
I really am open to feedback on this from the people here, you in particular, Shelley. Like, I was asked to drop a business, a whole meditation school that had global instructors that was running itself because I was training facilitators. It was this online, beautiful, sustainable business where it was cheap to get your meditation certification. You learned the online business element of it, and then you could become a facilitator and use all of the curriculum without any out-of-pocket costs. So I'm like, when all the trauma happened, I just walked away from that. I was just like not thinking that I was capable of teaching in that state. And I haven't thought about it until like last week. And then it came back into my sphere and it was like, this is a gift that we gave you and you get to give it to the world. And I'm like, but if you do what you always do, you'll get what you always got. And then
I'm in that
it's like,
same space with you though with the Intuition Academy. You know, I started that in
yeah.
2017 and I felt the same way. It needed to take its own little break. And now my guides are like, hey, it's time. People are listening, you know.
Okay,
So you
I
can
have
do it.
chills again. Okay, like in the meditation school, everyone made fun of me. They said my phrase was, I have chills, because
I
it's
do
like
it all the
everything
time.
gives me chills. You get it.
Yeah.
Spirit chills or
Yeah.
but anyway, I got an insight while you were talking because you had so beautifully directed us to talking about balancing masculine and feminine. As a teacher before, I had no sensitivity to the feminine teachings or wisdoms. Like, they were sparsely mentioned in, Deepak's training, but a lot of what I've learned since is Egyptian and Native American, who are both heavily feminine cultures. So now I feel like with you too, with your tarot meanings and just like diving into your own beautiful, vulnerable, feminine and beauty expressions and exploring who you are in relationships. Like, maybe it wasn't the material needed anything, but that we did to be able to like speak with wisdom from a balanced state.
And don't you feel like your business, that's what, when we're moving out of this 9 to 5, when I see the future, I see more independent contractors and
Yeah.
that our businesses thrive along with us. It's a very spiritual experience, you
Oh,
know?
yes. I love that. Ah,
It's like this business is my little baby. And I'm only gonna
it
let people
is.
in here that and now it's the toddler. He's like almost 5. But
And your clients are so dear to you, right? Like, you bond with them, and yeah, it's a very nurturing process. And aren't you a Cancer?
yes.
Yeah, so very, and Virgo, so very nurturing anyway. So we're like, come to my home, let me take care of you. You want some soup? You look a little skinny.
Let me get you a blanket. You know.
That's the Cancer in you. Let me make you cozy. I'm
Yeah.
like, let me detox you and get you your vitamins.
It's true.
and get you on your life purpose path.
But as a Virgo, I know it's really like it's a stretch for you to be seen when things, when you don't feel perfect.
Gosh,
So, how do you
yes.
do that and just like still show up for the community when you don't feel at your best? How, like,
Mm.
what do you do? How do
But
you do
that
that?
was the death. That was the death of my identity and my I don't feel like I have ego death. Like I feel like I have an ego that definitely still talks, but and keeps me safe.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's kind of like in Shiva's depiction, he has that snake on his shoulder, and it's supposedly his ego that he has tamed to the point where it's still dangerous, but he can coexist with it. I feel like I might be close to that stage. So it's still there, and I know it's like, oh, Amanda, you don't look good enough. You don't to post this video. Oh, people are going to think you're a drug addict if you talk about, doing medicines. Oh, people are going to, think you're asking for handouts when you need donations. Well, that is asking for handouts. Or they're going to judge you for that. And
Right.
just being able to like look at the broader vision of eagle, if you speak in animal medicine other than like mouse, like, yes, that might happen. And also, it can serve a greater purpose. And every time I get worried about little things like that or dive into anxiety where mouse likes to live, like, I just remember to go eagle, go eagle, go hawk. And that's why I have like some of those reminders of eagle and hawk. And um, yeah, reminders, man. Like,
Mm.
when we reminders and a bigger purpose, I think, are two of the biggest tools. Like my house used to be, decorated with, fashions or whatever. And now, like, I'm looking around and there's not one thing in here that doesn't remind me of who I really am or of something beautiful or spiritual. And that really helps me. And then remembering that I am here for a purpose, and that purpose is not just you know, um, be worried about being judged, like, or to hold back. My purpose is to help in some way. And the things we're guided to do, I believe, are part of that bigger purpose of helping in some way. So, zooming out, I guess, do you think?
Yes. And I think being really conscious, like what you're saying around like everything that is in our atmosphere, what's surrounding us in our homes, the people that we are, talking to on a daily basis, the foods we eat, the music we listen to, if you, I don't have a TV, but like the news
Wow, good
really messes
job.
me. No, I cannot do it. The media just triggers me. And so, but I started noticing as like an empath or whatever, I
Yeah,
absorb so much, and so I have to be very conscious of who I let into or what I let into my vortex. And so I'm letting that like wall go down a little bit more, and because the cancer, I just want to hide in my little shell and isolate a lot lately. And so this call every other week is just going to help me get back out. But COVID really just kind of put a ton of fear in me. And I know it's not true. And so, yeah, I think that listening to you, surrounding myself with people who have like unbelievable faith, and like you can't make a lot of this shit up. It's
that's so
these
cool.
miracles are so fun, right?
They're so fun. And
Yeah.
what you were saying about the fear thing, like, we all collectively experienced that, and then nobody taught us not like how not to be scared anymore. Like nobody taught us what to do with that, unless you had some background in, what we did back then. We could kind of inch our way through it a little bit, but
Yeah.
man, the fear is real. And if I already had tools like meditation and yoga, and then, I still got shook to the core, then we all freaking did, like,
Mhm.
um, yeah, I just feel like that we really deserve to give ourselves some slack for what's happened in the past 2 years and not judge ourselves for not making things happen quick enough or like not getting ourselves out of ruts or not getting healthy. Like I needed 2 freaking years to even come back to society. 2 years. And that's like, holy cow, I thought I was doing good. And then like time, like just I was like, what? So if you have something traumatic that has happened in your life, like give yourself permission to move slowly and to do baby steps. If something can't be done in baby steps and you're suffering, like don't do it at all. Only do the bare minimum. Throw Cheerios on the floor for your kids. They'll stay alive. Like just do the bare minimum till you can start to see what's not wrong again. Because I've been in plenty of situations where the only thing not wrong was like, okay, I'm alive, but I don't really want to be because everything else is wrong. So it's really kind of hard sometimes to see what's not wrong, but it's okay if everything's wrong. Just do as little as possible. I really wish that our society provided it, because when I was in that extreme of poverty, I was like sleeping in a lot of parking lots in my trailer as I traveled and just met a lot of mixed economic background and mental health states people. And what I learned was our common theme was trauma and not having a society that takes care of you when you experience that, even though they're telling us, oh, we care about mental health. No, here they're like, we care about selling these meds to you and diagnosing you and whatever. But
Yeah.
what we don't have is a resting place where we don't have to work. I mean, when we are pregnant, we should have resting place. After the baby, resting place. After trauma, resting place. After losing someone, resting place. We just don't have that built in. And the things that we do have built in cost a lot of money, or they're really shady places. Like I had very low income people who came out of this rehab for low income people, and they got zero help. They were put on 14 different kinds of medications and then turned back out into the world, exhausted, depressed, reaching for alcohol again because life hurts so bad. And I was like, this is unacceptable. So in our galactic identity of Earth, we can't join until we have balanced our world to be more compassionate, like these values that our people in our galaxy stand for. We get to embody, or else they're not going to want us, and they're trying to help us. But we got a ways to go, so come on, just start with
We
yourself
do. We got
and
we
it'll
have to
bleed out.
prove your side of the fence, man. I'm noticing that
Exactly.
with myself, because I was sober for a couple of years before COVID, but got so bored and I started drinking again.
Oh yeah.
And I'm getting sober again and using the ketamine treatments to connect back to that galactic tribe. And it's
Oh
amazing to
yeah.
sit with them. And
Yeah.
I know you understand what I'm talking about. And
Oh yeah.
does anyone on our call, I mean, at any point now in the call, if you want to ask questions, feel free to put that in the chat or we can unmute you. But that I was in the treatment and they all just started like coming out and it was really interesting to see them. Um, it was as if I was like in a fashion show in Japan, and
I love it.
they all came out and they were just so relaxed and it, that was the ultimate message, was to stop taking this so serious. And I think that's what we do a lot of the time is we get so wrapped up in the politics and the 3D stuff. So maybe the trick right now is to have fun. And
Oh yes.
do you think?
And what, have fun and what?
And to just not take it so seriously. Like
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
it's okay to
100%.
have these different plant medicines or whatever and to kind of disassociate from our bodies. But also it is kind of the whole point is to be human and to still enjoy it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about people who get too far into the spiritual realms and get too dependent on medicine. Like they won't want to be here anymore. And that's not serving that galactic purpose. It's like sometimes medicine doesn't call to me. Like I'll get invited to, I still haven't done ayahuasca yet because I've been invited and it just hasn't called to me because I don't need that medicine. And it's interesting that people think they have to do every single thing on all the time. And it's like, I'm so happy that I found ketamine because I can mark the time when it was like, I'm done with all these other medicine ceremonies. I am now taking care of my need to feel good and my fixing that it does amazing things. It fixes neural pathways in the brain and it elevates your feel good joy centers in the brain. It's just amazing. And it also makes other drugs in my experience inferior. So for me, I'd rather do a monthly ketamine treatment that gives back to me and my personal energy level and like serves my spiritual purpose than go beat my body up and
Yeah,
drain
I
my
don't want to be
serotonin
throwing
with
up
the
all
MDMA.
night.
Yeah, and I love to do those in ceremony because whenever we add ritual and ceremony and intention, that actually makes it a beneficial experience. And even if it's a horrible experience, you have learned a lesson because you set out to learn the lesson. So even like with wine, if I'm going to have wine, I will bless it because it's listening. And then also I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to put on a song I love or a tarot reading I love, my salt candle, and I'm going to freaking enjoy it. So like feeling good, we're not we don't have to be the monks, but I had to do this thing, Shelley, where I was doing the left hand of tantra, where it was anarchy and living outside the matrix and exploring in like Burning Man communities and like all this stuff, and it seemed like hedonism a little bit and anarchy, and that was this side of the pendulum. And now right now I'm like celibate and sober, and if ketamine doesn't count, of course.
Yeah,
And like eating well and going to the gym, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool that like if we notice we're this far, we can swing, and it's fun. It's a challenge, right? It's a fun challenge to be sober every day, and it's like something new. You break up that monotony so that you can actually feel pleasure again. Because if you're doing drugs all the time, like you're gonna not feel good. So just add in more light, add in more light, add in more light, and you'll swing to the other side. And hopefully, like I have just put this little life together where I never need to detox. And I'm so happy about that because this energy is like sustainable.
right. Oh, I love that. It
Thank
is
you for listening, you
sustainable.
guys.
Yeah, it is
You're so much
sustainable.
fun.
I love that. Well, and the blessing of everything because the judgment around what we're doing is probably a big part of it. So,
Yeah, that's so insightful. Like, if you shame yourself for doing a drug or having sweets, like that's telling your body that you're in a totally different state of consciousness than I'm a goddess and I deserve this. And I get skinnier when I eat my pumpkin pie.
so is there anything that you would want to add to people or just anyone that would be tuning into this of you know, what would you tell yourself when you're at your lowest or you're going through that dark night of the soul? Like, what is one piece of advice you'd give them?
How can I feel good right now?
Yeah, just
And
one
and it can be it's sometimes not great. Sometimes it's like texting someone I shouldn't text, from the past, or like, sometimes I'm lower level Amanda vibration, and sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna light this. Like I have this altar. It saves my life in those situations because if I'm laying in bed staring at the ceiling, like I don't want to do today, I just look over, and this is what I'm talking about with reminders, and there's like a tarot deck, there's a candle I can light, it's already set up, there's some soft fur, and there's some crystals with descriptions so I can like play with them and fidget with them, and rose water, I've been making rose water. So for me, it's the little things. What
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah. I usually will go in and just journal, just write and write and write and just because I feel like so much of it gets up here that once I get it out on paper, then it's like out of my body.
They
So,
say that's like one of the best practices you could ever do, like right up there with meditating, journaling. So that's really good.
And you know what? I like to snuggle. Like I to find to have somebody that I feel safe snuggling, like physical
Oh
touch.
my gosh, I miss that so bad. I'm
It's
like, I
really,
got this weighted blanket because it's like, okay, there's my man right there.
but and it's hard with my kids getting older because I have an 18
Yeah.
year old and a 13-year-old, and I'm 4'9", and those guys are tall, and it feels weird like cuddling them now, but I miss it and realizing
Oh,
how
my
much
8-year-old
really
still cuddles. Yeah, I should take full advantage of that.
better.
And
Seriously.
now we sisters should cuddle each other too. Why not? Are
Oh,
we there yet? Is
yeah,
sisterhood
we're there.
where we can cuddle now? Usually it was like the fake hug, you know?
I know. I look back at my life and how many friends I've had, and I'm like sad about it. I'm like, gosh, I've had so many girlfriends, but I've kept them at I lost my sister 15 years
That's
ago.
right, you did.
She was my friend. She was the only one I really needed. And then when you lose
Yeah,
a sister, you're like, hey, I don't know how to let anybody else in. So it's been a journey for me, and I pray that that's I know that's what we're stepping into. And the more we trust, like Mary Magdalene is my guide, and I love her. And I just feel
amazing.
her strength coming in, and Isis, and it's it's pretty magical what's about to unfold. And so I want to keep the hope alive, like
How
keep.
can men be a part of this um feminine a feminine awakening? Like it's a we're almost like the feminine aspects in us all is freeing us from the patriarchy. That's how it feels. And I
Yeah,
feel like there are a lot of balanced males, masculines, not just male and female. I'm still trying to get used to that,
sure.
that there's just masculine energy, feminine energy. But how can the masculine like be a part of this feminine awakening? Do you have an insight on that?
Um, my sweethearts, really. I think it's a generational thing, and I think the older the generation, if they just stay open and start learning new things, then they'll start and exploring their inner child. I don't know if it's inner child work, but that giving themselves permission to rest and to create and to dance and to
Yes.
relax.
So the biggest thing it seems like let's just say men, because the patriarchy, like men are being highly affected,
Yeah.
to embrace their own femininity of I am perfect just the way I am. I matter even when I'm doing nothing. I it is safe to express.
Yeah.
Oh,
And their counterpart, that the women in their lives, to hold space. I have so many men. All my clients are pretty much men who are married, and it's interesting for me because they feel safe to come in and get a tarot reading and cry, and that's the only safe space they feel. And they don't dare tell their wives that they are in getting a tarot reading and crying to another woman, and they never would. And that
oh,
breaks my heart. And so I tell every woman I can that is married, it's like, and I ruined that in my marriage. I emasculated him so hard. And so um, I really want to bring that to women's awareness, that hold space for these men as they break down their walls. And
mm,
let's see, it says, I learned that the divine feminine truly meant, and like Amanda, I decided to live through my divine feminine side. That's allowed me to be vulnerable, learn how to communicate better, nourish myself and others, and be more supportive and empathic of others. It has given me true balance in my life, and I've never been at more peace.
and that's Lehigh, and he's like the guy I'm always like, divine masculine, men follow him, women
Really?
date a guy like that. Like he's divine masculine. And so that's amazing to that he explained how he got that way was by embracing feminine qualities. So thank you for thank you. I needed to know that. That's really cool.
What it meant, like that's the definition of it's not just because they're balancing out their feminine doesn't mean that they a lot of people are like, "Oh, he's gay," or it doesn't mean you're gay because
Right.
you're balancing out your feminine, your masculine. That's the most, asinine thing ever. Nothing is sexier to me than a man that can cry, and that's just me. But I love it, and
I love that expression too. Yeah, just the whole that we're both a mixture of both. And sometimes I'm going to be a blunt a-hole and not be able to rest until I do everything around the house. And some days I'm just going to be like the sweetest nurturing, like I'm going to take care of myself today. Like it just, those energies are fluid. I don't know why I'm saying that, but it, we get to have them all. We all have them all. We're both made by a masculine, feminine energy. Uh,
yeah. All right, well, perfect. This is exactly what I wanted it to be, and
Thank you so much for doing this. Like, this is huge. And I know that it probably wasn't easy for your cancer cute self to get out here, like, and do this, but you are awesome. And I knew I had to say a hell yes because it felt good and that you are doing such important work. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for listening.
yeah. And I will have the recording posted, so I'll be sharing that in the event, and you can share it with whoever you want. And I just appreciate you and love you so much.
I adore you so much. And yes, we'll have to do this again. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
thank you, Bo. You're awesome for sticking around.
I know they totally are troopers. All right, girlie.
Bye.
I'll talk to you soon. See ya.
Bye.